guys been waiting all day for this?
That's good stuff.
Us too.
All right, so you guys, obviously moving down twice. Was that kind of the plan coming in, or kind of the way the board kind of fell for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's the way the board fell. There were a few players that we would have taken, had they been there. That didn't happen. We had done our due diligence. Probably, about this time last week, we started making calls. Hey, if we were to get back, and I think the reason why, I think this was a draft where a lot of people were trying to move back, and so you wanted to get ahead. We had a couple deals secured. The second deal was from a team we didn't have secured, so but we had made contact with. So I think we were able to swap a fourth for a third in one deal. We were able to pick up some things to move back 3 spots, and I think the cool thing about the 33rd pick, it puts you in a really nice. We get all, we can kind of reconvene, reset our board, reset our thoughts, and I think it's also a coveted pick, as a lot of teams are doing that themselves. So that's where we're at.
That's kind of the next question. Are you guys still open for business as far as that 33rd pick? And if you keep it, how many positions or how many players do you already know the guy you're going to take if you keep that 33rd pick?
We've got a good idea of some names. We're always open for business. I think that'd be foolish not to listen. And so we will do that, but we have a good idea of where we're going, and looking forward to that.
Kyle, just wondering what it's like. You've had other nights when you haven't had a first-round pick, but you just didn't have a pick. What's it like for you studying the board, seeing the scouts work, seeing John work, and trading out of the first round? As you're watching, what is that like?
It wasn't bad, because that was one of the things that we were kind of hoping would happen. When you look at the guys that we really thought had a chance to be there at 27, and guys we wouldn't move for, I think what happened probably would have been, if I was a betting man, probably the second thing I would have thought could have happened. Like, we had the guys we really wanted, and we knew there was a good chance, but when they weren't there, we moved back to 30, and the guys that we would have had to take at 30 are still there. So I look at it as a huge success to move back to 33 when you would have still taken those guys at 30. Now, 27, we were hoping for a couple of things, and we missed those, but we kind of had an idea we might. And to be able to move back 2 spots or 2 different times and get all those picks and still take who you would have taken at those spots who weren't your first choice right away. But we knew that would be a challenge, and we were hoping that we could do that if those guys fell.
Before you made your first trade, Adam Schefter announced to everyone that you were looking to trade back. Were you looking for assistance to let everyone know that you were ready to trade back?
No, I think we had already done that ourselves. So
We tell all 32 teams when we try to trade back. So you guys can repeat it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll just I'll take a shot. Was Casey Concepcion a guy maybe you would have wanted?
We liked KC a lot. I mean, KC came out here for a visit. We met with him at the Combine. Tremendous young man. Really has great ability with the ball in his hands. Fun player to scout, fun player to watch, fun player to be around. I think Kyle and I, we tag team a lot of these visits when we're with the kids. Really, just can't say enough about that young man. I think he's going to have a nice future ahead of him.
John, I know you didn't want to give the number of guys you had first-round grades on, but can you just give us an idea of maybe when those ran out tonight and how much maybe that played into it?
Yeah, sometimes they didn't run out till a couple picks before we picked. So, we had, we say a couple that we realistically thought would get to where we were. Now, there were some guys earlier that we would have been thrilled to have, but we had a really good idea that they were going to be gone. So, yeah.
And then some guys go there that we didn't think would.
Yeah.
There's a couple that, make something up, like let's say we had 22 of them. But there's a couple that went in those 22 that weren't those guys, which is why I feel real good about some of the choices still at 33.
John, as far as the second trade goes, you pick up a 5th-round pick. You also lose the 5th-year option. Was that something you weighed? Is that 5th-year option valuable to you? Like, how did you decide that one?
Yeah, you weigh it all, Grant. And, I think, again, we've got a number of players that are there. We like the situation to be able to grab a 5th. And it gives you flexibility to stay there and pick or move forward. So, that's.
Guys, I know you're focused on your pick, but at 13, your reaction to the Rams taking a guy that isn't going to immediately impact them next year?
Well, I think, first of all, I think another team in our division, I mean, they got a player who is going to impact, and talking about Jeremiah Love, a fantastic player. Ty Simpson's a good football player. You know, I think there was a lot made as to, you know, where he would go and what teams would do. It probably surprised everybody, but one thing I've learned over the years is that with quarterbacks, people will do those type things, and they certainly did. So we'll see.
I was going to ask this to John Monday, but I didn't. Is Kyle, is Mac Jones going to be on this team going into camp? Pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be real surprised if he's not. I mean, it also really surprised me that no one came and offered something like today. But the fact that no one did doesn't make me think someone's going to do something tomorrow, or and his value's probably already passed anyways.
No, last one.
You mentioned having some interest in guys who went ahead of you. Were you both just kind of content with sitting at 27 and not really thinking of trading up, given only the 6 picks coming into?
Yeah, I think with the 6 picks, what it would take to get up, that wasn't something. We were comfortable with enough of the players that were there. There were a few. We said we were going to be patient, and if they got there, we'd turn the card in. Those guys went, and you know, we stuck to our plan. And like I said, the first deal had been in place for some time, provided our guys, you know, weren't there, and we executed. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Thanks, guys.